Hello and welcome to Table Talk. I'm your host, Karen Wilson. My guest today is Mr. Hansel Moore, who is the American Legion Commander of Post 207 and one of the organizers of the upcoming Veterans Resource Day coming later on this month. Welcome to the show, Hansel.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having us.
You're welcome. And tell us, I guess, a little bit about yourself and how you became so involved in the American Legion and its establishment or reestablishment, maybe even up in Spencer.
Well, I'm an Air Force veteran. I served 1985 to 1992. Started off as a 17-year-old in the Air Force, and I worked in the hospitals. And when I got out, I used my GI Bill to obtain my nursing degree. And I've been a nurse, I was just thinking it'll be 30 years this year. And I've had a variety of opportunities as a nurse, long-term care, mental health, emergency medicine. And so I joined the American Legion about 4 years ago. And just the I probably had the same thought that many people have about the American Legion and a lot of veterans organizations, is that they're just kind of a watering hole for veterans. And through researching on American Legion, or legion.org is their website, I learned a lot about what the American Legion is actually about. And it's been around for over 100 years, 102 years. And as I learned more of the mission of the Legion, I knew it was an organization I wanted to be a part of. And the last 4 years has been a pretty interesting ride as we reach out to veterans, specifically in Spencer. When I first joined, there were, it was kind of an aging post. And unfortunately, a lot of the posts and veterans organizations are experiencing that. When I walked in, I was the youngest guy in the post at 50 at the time. Many of the veterans were in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. We still had, at the time, 3 World War II veterans. And, but I saw the potential there. And again, as I started to learn more what the American Legion was actually about, American Legion's based on 4 pillars, and it's national defense, which is the active duty and their families, Americanism, which is supporting our Constitution and the American flag, Veterans Affairs, obviously, as a veterans organization, and that encompasses a lot of topics, and youth. And those are the 4 pillars that we were founded on. And so the last 3 years or so, there's been a real vitalization at our little post in Spencer, Tennessee. For those of you who know where Spencer is, it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and we like it that way. But our small county, Van Buren County, with a total population of about 6,000 residents, there are approximately 600 veterans that live in Van Buren County.
Wow,
so
that's a high demographic.
about 10% of our population. And so I knew there was a lot of potential for growth for our post. So we created a social media page and we started reaching out to veterans. And we've gone from a membership of less than 20 to, I believe this week we signed up our 80th member. And it's just going out and making the contacts and you know, letting them know that we're here and what our mission's about, and it's something that people want to be a part of. So.
That's great because, since the post had not been quite as active, maybe people had not been enticed to join and things, but it's great that you're reaching out and soliciting new memberships and things. And let me ask about that. You've got a large demographic of veterans in this entire service area that we have. What is, I guess that's mostly, as you said, mostly an older demographic, but you're reaching out to some younger ones too.
We are. The state of Tennessee, I was at a meeting a couple weeks ago, and we have over 400,000 veterans in the state of Tennessee. And they move here for a number of reasons. A lot of times the same reasons I moved here. The weather, the climate, the taxes, they can buy, larger pieces of property, all of those things. But the number that I saw, our largest demographic are the men and women who served in the Vietnam era, being the 60s and 70s. Again, they're retired, they relocated, they want, for a number of reasons. So that's our biggest pocket of individuals. Again, now they're in their 60s, 70s. And, but Tennessee is the volunteer state. And we have been a volunteer military. And it's amazing how much the people of Tennessee do support and volunteer of service, whether it's active duty, guard, reserve. And there's a whole generation behind, my generation from the 30s to the 50s that have kind of shied away from veterans organizations like the American Legion because they think it's a watering hole where veterans go and get schnockered and share war stories. And again, I just emphasize that and encourage the younger generations to look into what the American Legion is really about. And just kind of to sum it up is it's an opportunity to continue to serve. And that's kind of our mantra, if you will, continue to serve. Because most veterans do have a serving heart and are trying to find a way to connect and give back. And there are many, many opportunities throughout the Legion, from the local posts all the way through the state level. And a lot of veterans, and you've worked with a lot of veterans and interviewed, and it's amazing the amount of talent, skills, and experience that veterans do have. And if they could bring those to their local posts and help revitalize those local posts, because I really strongly believe that right now our country needs organizations like the American Legion for a number of reasons. But so I would encourage the younger generations to go on to legion.org, find a local post, and become active. Every post, although we do all fall under the four pillars, one of the unique things about the American Legion is every post has its own culture. And depending, Van Buren's a very rural culture. So we do things a little bit differently, as opposed to a Nashville post or whatever. But that culture is developed through the vision and the activity of the officers and the leadership there. So I'd encourage them to check out the post if they want to become involved and help revitalize those posts. And like I said, a lot of the rural posts are really trying to find ways to reach out to those younger generations. And that's one of the things that I really do believe that we have done at our little post. We've made it a family, very family-friendly environment. I'll share with you, probably one of the most recent things that we did was we had to celebrate America, the Independence Day, 4th of July. And we had about 80 people at our post, and it was just a big family picnic. And one of the things, a lot of people had had brought their children and grandchildren, and so I looked around. We had about 20 small kids there, and so I called one of the guys and said, "Hey, bring a kickball over here." And we have a big field right next to our post, and we went over and played kickball, and everybody got involved, and it was a really
What a
neat.
simple way to bring everybody together.
Not one cell phone, not one tablet, not one electrical device, and it was just. I'll be honest, I paid for it the next day physically, but it was a great time, and that's what that's what we have done, and I believe a lot of the posts are doing. There's a term, military family, and if you've ever served in the military, you know what I'm talking about. There is a camaraderie, there is there's just this bonding amongst military people, and when you leave active duty, you really miss that. Well, we've been able to revitalize that, and it's kind of funny because we've got members. Our oldest member right now is 94, youngest member is 32. But when you get all these guys and gals that have served in one room, they all become 19 again. And it's funny to just sit back and watch, and the Army guys will pick on the Navy guys, and the Navy guys pick on the Air Force guys, and it's just fun, and we share life together, and that's really what I see the American Legion as being. We share life together through generations, and it's a pretty awesome thing.
So what are some of the, I guess, generalizing, maybe the concerns that veterans have, especially as they're aging? There's a lot to navigate in healthcare and all kinds of things.
Wow, that could be a whole nother hour show, but like I said, our largest demographic is in that 60s, 70s, and 80s. And one of the health, in that age group, health issues are a big concern. For the first time, they may have cardiac issues, they may have diabetes issues, loss of a spouse. The other thing that I'm seeing, again, in those generations are episodes of dementia and Alzheimer's. And, it's very tough on the primary caregiver. And that's really, and we'll talk about the Veterans Resource Day, that's really why we kind of looked at that and said there are so many resources out there. And we talked about that a little bit. And a lot of veterans don't realize how many resources. You're not out there by yourself. The military has a no man or no person left behind policy, and that's what we're trying to do. We're connecting. We're making relationships with people. The other thing, and again, as you go into those age groups, but even a lot of the younger soldiers and sailors that are coming back, and me personally, one of the things that gets me out of bed in the morning is to help prevent a veteran from taking their own life. If you look at the national statistics, depending on which one you're looking at, about 20 veterans a day take their own life. And that's because of PTSD, mental health issues, again, loss of spouse. There are life events that really impact, and when they feel alone and they feel that there's no other options, they choose this. And I'll share with you. People say, well, why do you do this? Why are you part of this? In Van Buren County, I had to do a annual report a couple weeks ago, and I looked at my calendar and I looked at what we've done as a post in the last year, and it's great. We went to 80 members. That's a milestone, the most members that we've ever had. We, even through COVID and everything that happened last year, we did over 3,000 hours of volunteer time. through
great.
various organizations. We've fed families. We've done a lot. But as I looked at it, and I looked at the contacts that we've made, and I talked with our chaplains, and the number that really stood out to me was the fact that I think because of our actions and creating those relationships and reaching out to veterans, that we prevented conservatively at least 4 veteran suicides in Van Buren County alone.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and you know, those are the things that keep me personally going, and this is why I really believe in the mission of the Legion, and I believe it's a great way for us to reach out to the men and women who have served our country.
Yeah,
So-
you may be reaching out and rekindling friendships or forming friendships with people that, like you said, their spouse has passed, they may not have family in the area. Lots of loneliness sets in, and like you said, PTSD, but that encouragement and that brotherhood and sisterhood that
Right.
you have has given them incentive to go on.
Well, I'll share. You said loneliness. I had one of the connections that we made. It was about 2 years ago. I had a Vietnam veteran came to one of our events, and I was talking to him. I said, "Well, why don't you come and join us?" Now, he said, "I'm a loner." I looked at him. I said, "We're all loners. We're just loners together." And he started laughing, and. But since then, he has become an extremely active part of our post and really helps us out with youth programs and really helps us out. So, you know, I know there are a lot of veterans out there that do kind of self-isolate, but as humans, we're created to have interactions, and we have kind of become a surrogate family, if you will. You know, and like I said, a lot of people have relocated here. Myself, primarily, I've got family in Texas, Ohio, and throughout. But this is a family, like I said, military family feeling. If I need help with something, we have an extremely talented group of veterans. I'm a nurse by trade, but I don't know how to fix electricity. I've got 3 electricians in hey, can you come over and help? Or carpentry, or we built, you know, and you got to give veterans a mission. And so we do a lot of mission-oriented stuff. We're getting ready for a 9/11 ceremony that's coming up, the 20th anniversary, and we have quite a few veterans that are going to be a part of that. We're working together with other Legion posts and organizations to work on the homeless veteran program here. My job as a commander is to find out what your gifts or skill set as a veteran, and how can we connect those two, and give you purpose for getting up out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
And so.
And sometimes it's paying it forward like that.
And it's, like I said, most of the veterans that I deal with and that I know of have a very giving heart. And like I said, we just have to give them that opportunity, or find that opportunity for them to give back.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you mentioned the Veterans Resource Day. Let's talk about that, because that's the first time, I guess, that you all have organized that. It is at a central location here at the former VFW post, which is now Wild Bill's Barbecue here in McMinnville. But it is kind of an event where veterans from all areas are invited to attend. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. We have opened this up. Part of the reason we chose McMinnville is the geographic central location. And we've reached out actually, we have some people coming from West Tennessee, some people coming from East Tennessee, and then throughout the region here as well. We have a number of posts that are working together to make this event successful. And it, like we mentioned a little bit, it kind of started off as a little idea, but now it has become a big idea. And it's amazing how much response we've been able to get from local businesses, local organizations to be a part of this day. This day is going to basically, if you have questions, if you're a veteran and you have questions about any type of benefit, there's a good chance that you'll have your questions answered here, and it gives you that opportunity to talk to the directly. We have the Department of Tennessee Veterans Affairs will be there. Various hospital organizations will be there as well. We've also reached out to some local veterans businesses, and they'll be there and with their products or their services. Right now, this morning I looked at, and I think we have 42 vendor tables that'll be there. And before I forget, I'd really like to thank Bill Davis and Wild Bills for allowing us to do this. And you know how I feel about barbecue, so that was part of. I love their barbecue, and that was part of the reason that we chose it. But this really is going to be a game changer event, I think, for not only the veterans, but if you are a family member, because. Some of the questions, you know, they're the primary caregivers. They need to be able to come and ask. And then we also have, like I said, veterans businesses will be there, and just a lot of opportunities.
A big list here. July, we will mention the date is July 29th from 10 to 4. So it's come and go. You know, you can drop in anytime, I guess, through those hours, but pain management, you know, chaplain services, hospice care, anger management, women's health, just all kinds of different people are going to be there.
It's going to be a big array of different services that'll be there, and we've really tried to reach out to organizations that were specific to the veterans. And like I said, it's going to be a one-stop shop, if you will, to be able to ask questions and connect with resources, and then, you know, follow up as needed. So we're very excited about it, and as we're finishing up the last two weeks before the event, we're going to just put it all together and see what happens.
You've been working really hard on this, I know. And as you said, it's really is it too late to get a booth for those that kind of have seen the show, because we're going to run this about a week or so before?
Well, at this point, like I said, we have 42 booths. So, and my prediction is that most of them, if not all of them, will be there. So we're kind of limited on space. But the good thing is, this is going to kind of be the blueprint, if you will. We're going to, after the event, we'll come back and we'll see what works, what didn't work, how we can improve on it. And the plan is to carry this across the state. Like I said, we have people from East Tennessee, West Tennessee coming out, and to kind of see what's going on and see how we can carry this to other Legion posts throughout the state.
Yeah, great. Hopefully it's a feeder event for all of those. I will say, anybody that has questions about it can, the name here that you have is Veteran Service Officer David Smith, or American Legion member Harold Lowe. And yourself as well?
Correct.
Okay. So, well, Hansel, thank you. I'm going to have you back a lot. There is so much to talk about.
I sent you that one list, and I just think there's just so many opportunities to connect with our veterans population. And, you know, obviously, we like to thank them in any way that we can. I look forward to coming back and talking to you about more.
We'll have more topics to come, because there is so much different, even just by your list here, you can see all of the different things that are concerns for veterans, their families, and we want to give as many resources as possible for that. So thank you so much for coming on the show today. Once again, we'll remind you of the date, July 29th from 10 to 4 at Wild Bill's Barbecue, which is the former VFW post in McMinnville. And if you've got any questions, you can call Ben Lohman or call any of the names that we mentioned and find out more information on it. And I want to say thank you to our viewers today. We hope you have a great week. It's safe, healthy, and happy. And thank you so much for coming and sharing veterans resources and spearheading this event. So come back next week and we'll have more Table Talk.